So here we are in Wabashine, Ontario, on the southeast corner of Georgian Bay. Today I'm going to review a product I'm pretty excited about, which is the Hawk Nest Hammock Tent. This is a Canadian-made tent. I believe it's made out in BC. It's one of those Instagram purchases, which, we can all be wary of. I do a lot of solo camping. And when I'm doing solo camping, like everybody else, I'm on the ground for the most part. I use a Teton tent. Teton is made out in Utah. They have excellent products, but as I'm getting a little older, I'm finding sleeping on the ground in a solo tent sometimes can be a little tough on the body. Then I saw this tent on Instagram, and this is an elevated tent that hangs from trees and possibly could give me a more comfortable sleep now that I'm off the ground. So we're going to try and set this up now. Lucas made an amazing YouTube video on how to set it up. So I'm not going to do a video on how to set it up. You can go to YouTube, you can check out Hawk Nest Hammock Tent. They'll talk to you about the setup, but I'm going to set it up and then I'm going to try and sleep in it tonight and give you a little review about that. Now, they did say on the setup video that your trees should be 10 to 15 feet apart. So I don't have a lot of options here, not a lot of trees. I've already got a hammock hanging here, but this is how big of a nerd I am, is that I actually took out my measuring tape, and these two trees here are just over 10 feet. So we're gonna give that a try. We'll hook it up here and then we'll let you know how it goes. So just before we do the setup, I think we also need to comment on the fact about how low profile this is when it is all packed away. This is tiny. This could easily fit in my pack with my sleeping bag and a bunch of other gear and take up hardly any space at all. So already this is smaller than the Teton solo tent that I have when it's packed away, so that is fantastic. So I'm going to start taking out all the parts. Again, not going to show you the setup because that is all done well by Hawk Nest themselves. They have great YouTube videos on that, which I'm going to follow to the T as I set this all up. And I just want to give you a review and let you know if it's comfortable. But seem to have the tent in there. I've got all the parts. It's also important to note that I don't do a lot of Instagram. I do a few Instagram purchases. We all do. But Lucas has been sending out updates. So their customer service right out of the gate, they've been sending out updates on the reg saying when shipping, when it's going to come, and they have held to every metric. Very important that, they talked about quality control. If he wasn't happy with the zipper, they were getting that all done. So we're gonna get into all that quality stuff because obviously we want a durable tent that's going to survive the weather. Okay, so setup is going pretty smooth so far. Again, the video from Hawk's Nest is perfect. It shows you exactly how to do it. I'm at the point where now they suggest you put in your sleeping pad. Now, just as an aside, because everyone's got different kinds of sleeping pads, so it's going to slip into this little pocket. I have two kinds. If I'm going on a canoe trip where I got to pack really light, I'm going to use the standard inflatable air mattress. This one is from Cabela's. No big deal, pretty straightforward, like your regular air mattress. But if I'm car camping, then I use my Teton self-inflatable sleeping pad. I'm going to try to get this one in there because this is the one I like to use the most. But again, this is, it's a little larger profile. It doesn't pack away nice. It's just like one more thing to carry. Sometimes you can strap it to your pack, but again, if you're trying to pack out light, you're not going to use this one. But if you're car camping and you got the extra space, this is the premium one. So I'm going to try and fit this one in there, and it should go. If not, we will go to the other air mattress. So we finished the setup of the Hawk Nest hammock. Setup was super easy. Followed the steps in the video and went as smooth as could possibly be. Obviously there's a learning curve whenever you're doing something like this, but I think I can get it down to be a pretty quick setup and takedown. My Teton tent, I can get it done in about 10 minutes. This one will probably be a little bit longer. Some of the things that I've realized, they say on the video that you want to have your trees 10 to 15 feet apart. I would probably try to keep it towards 15. As you can see that I've had to do multiple wraps to get the right amount of tension. I really don't have much going on there. Had to get a bit creative, but that's what it is when you're camping. Sometimes your trees are where they're at. You may only get two and you got to be creative. So You know, if you do it exactly as the instructions say, maybe closer to 15 feet, you're going to have a perfect setup. But when you're testing this equipment out, it's actually, you know, how good does this hammock work when you don't have the ability to set up perfectly? So this went pretty well. It looks high off the ground, but another thing about this is that, you know, if you set it all up and you think you're a little bit high, it's pretty easy to just take your hook and back it off a little bit. So I've done that. So I didn't have to take the whole thing down to change the height. Another thing that I thought would be a good idea, and we'll see if that works, is try to make it that the feet are a little lower than the head, because there's nothing worse than when you're sleeping and it's the opposite way. Your head is lower than the feet. You get all that blood rushing to your head. So we'll see when we get in if that actually worked. The next thing is the sleeping pad. So I did get my Teton sleeping pad in there. So it's in there nice. That's the smallest one from Teton. It's the Comfort Light. It is a little bit tight. My advice would be if you're using a self-inflating pad, whereas when I would set up my single man tent, I would just throw the pad in there and set it to open and then come back later after dinner. It was all blown up by itself. But for this, you really should have it inflated first. So you got to get that sleeping pad all blown up, then stuff it in. Otherwise it bends and kinks and everything and it doesn't fill properly. So I inflated it first, did get my other air mattress ready in case I needed it, but this actually fits. So I'm happy that I could get the Teton one in there. You know, it does get a little tighter as you push this mattress up because it gets a little narrower towards the top, but it'll fit and compress. So now we're going to see if we can actually get in this thing, because that's the key. Obviously we don't want to die when we're climbing in and out. I am on top of a bunch of rocks, but I think this will be okay. So we're going to see what it's like once we're inside. So getting inside was no problem at all. I weigh about 185 pounds. I'm in this thing. It is stable as anything. And I can tell you right out of the gate, with my pad underneath and this hanging, this is going to be comfortable. Really, I'm actually blown away about how comfortable this is. And if I had my druthers and I got 2 trees available, I am way rather sleeping in this than in my single man Teton. Obviously, Teton's a great tent, but being off the ground, it is incredible. And not to mention, like, I actually feel roomier in here. Even though this was in a lower profile in my package, I feel like I've got more head to toe length. I'm about 5'10". And then the other thing is, you know, just the little things that you need. I mean, a little bit of room goes a long way. You know, I got room to put some stuff beside me. I got a nice little pocket here for my phone, little knife, just whatever I need. I've got some accessory hooks on top. You know, I like to hang a little lantern. You got to have a little lantern. You know, I don't know. I mean, I could put my pack in here. I think it would kind of roll down to my feet. You can't put it above your head because then it's going to roll down on top of your head. But I think there's a way I could strap it towards that corner where it's not bothering me. So if you just have one little day pack and you want to keep it inside your tent, that's great, you know, so it doesn't get wet. I suppose I could put it right underneath me and that would be fine too. But I gotta say, this is comfortable. I've got a nice bug net up here that'll, you know, keep the bugs out. Nice little rain fly. You get great views. I mean, this is incredible. And I think getting out is going to be easy too. So obviously, no, you don't want to be a jerk and have your shoes in the tent. But look at like, you know, when you have to get out of a single man tent, your body's creaking, you can't stand up. This, I'm going straight, sitting, standing, into my shoes. Here we go. Voila. That was so simple. Game changer. Seriously, great job. I would recommend this to anybody. Takedown, again, don't need to show that. They give you a great video on how to do it, but absolutely, Hawk Nest Hammock, very impressive. We'll see how it is after I get through the night.